Garda Commissioner Drew Harris, the Sunday Indo had the story yesterday. He's written to the government basically urging that new laws on Garda body cameras should and must include the ability to use facial recognition technology. Ciara, you're strongly in favour of this.
I am, and it's not without its difficulty. So I'm not gung ho as in, we just willy nilly proceed with this. I realise that there are issues that need to be looked at in terms of the technology and in terms of the applications and the uses. But I think if we hold back the guards from any potential, I suppose, tools in their armoury to fight crime, the chances are some crimes will go unpunished. And I am anti-crime. I am very pro-law and order. And I do think we need a greater degree of zero tolerance on crime in this country. I think we're a little bit soft in aspects of it, a greater degree of zero tolerance on public disorder and antisocial behaviour and all of this. And I think some of our softly approach that our guards have, and I do like our Garda force, and I think in the main they do an extremely good job. I think we have a kind of a benign relationship, the public and the guards, with each other. And some of that was because we didn't want our guards to ever do anything inflammatory. They were keepers of the peace. And that was because our state is born out of violence, in my view, and the guards never wanted to pour fuel on that fire, and it was always thought that was a potential that could happen. So I get the relationship we have, which is slightly different in this country with the guards, but I think we should equip the guards to fight crime with all means necessary. We should slam it down, and I think we should be harder and tougher on crime. That is my view.
Yeah, I don't entirely disagree, but I have concerns about it. The privacy concerns. You ring on somebody's doorbell, next thing you're on a police database. I have real concerns about the standard of technology, certainly at the moment. I mean, there are numerous stories from around the world of wrong identification. We know the systems really struggle, particularly with women and with certain ethnic groups. They just get it wrong, and there's high profile cases of wrongful arrest. Then there's the issue of what happens to the data. Where is it stored? Is it secure? Could it be hacked? Of course it could be hacked. Does that lead to identity fraud? And then, we live in a pretty benign state, but, we've had examples of, in the 70s, for example, with Garda Síochána and the heavy gang. How would that technology have been used back then with the heavy gang? I mean, we know, and I'm not comparing us in any way to China. We're not in the same boat at all. But it is worth pointing out in China, for example, and in other more benign countries, it has been used in large groups to identify certain people. In China's case, to identify people from the Muslim Uyghur minority. But in European countries, it's also been used on a broad basis to kind of scan crowds and so on. And I have slight concerns, and more than slight, I have definite concerns about that, whether it will be used wisely. It's a lot of power to give people.
Yeah, and you're right. I think it should be underpinned by good ethics and all sorts of things. And I agree with you about the technology having issues with it. But I would support Drew Harris and the guards in this. I think this is a good idea.